Air Force One landed here at Chennault International Airport carrying its most precious cargo, President Donald Trump. People came in crowds here in the airport and all around it, just hoping to be a part of the excitement. I've been down here since about 10:30 this morning, and as I was driving in, there were a couple of stoplights as you got closer to the coast that were out, so you're definitely seeing a little bit of that power outage from the wind. The beach is mostly empty. I did find one guy out here earlier today who was actually fishing. He said he was taking advantage of the surf. New tonight, the man arrested for the murder of Sadie Roberts Joseph claims the DNA evidence police say connected him to the crime was planted. FaceApp is taking social media by a storm as millions of people get a glimpse of what they will look like 50 years from now. But if that image scares you, medical experts have these tips on how you can prevent that picture from turning into reality. It was right here at the intersection of Tank Farm Road and Tuna Lane where Justin Brown lost his life, hit and killed by a driver who authorities have never been able to find. The acting secretary of the Department of Homeland Security testified before the House Oversight Committee today. Well, Cynthia, thankfully the water has gone down significantly on these roads. In fact, the sun is starting to peek out right now, which I know is a welcome view for a lot of these homeowners. They can finally start the process of drying out their homes. We are here in the Oleander neighborhood of Graywood at this gorgeous dream home. Just a little bit about it. It is 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, 3,000 square feet, and like Mary said earlier, it is valued at $600,000. So those $100 tickets are really a bargain. I'm joined right now by Andres Nava with Sherwin Williams. Thank you so much for being here on this hot day. Cars are starting to make their way through now, but the hard part is neighbors say this happens every time there's a heavy rain, and they say they feel like nothing is being done about it.
I mean, hell, we kayaking down the streets.
It may seem funny, people kayaking down the street and fishing off the back of their trucks.
I hadn't had any bites today yet. But we're hopeful.
And while those living in Mimosa Park are trying to make the best of a bad situation, they say the flooding isn't a joke.
Most people can't get to work. They can't go get groceries. They can't go get nothing to eat.
Perhaps the worst part, this isn't the first time it's happened.
This has happened a couple times in the last couple months with the last bad rains that we've had.
Jared Swinney has lived in the neighborhood for about a year, and he says it seems like the more homes that are built, the worse the drainage gets.
They're still developing around us. The homes are going to probably more than double before all this is over with.
Many living in the neighborhood say they just want to know that they're being heard and that something is being done to fix the issue.
We just obviously want to see the drainage issues addressed and the infrastructure put into place to get rid of the water as more houses are being built and there's going to be less places for the water to go.
So that hopefully by the next rain, they're able to trade in their kayaks for their cars. Now, I did reach out to the builder earlier and haven't heard back from them, but you can stay up to date on this story at KPLC-TV.com and on your 7 News mobile app. Live in Carlos, Hannah Treece, KPLC 7 News.
You may remember a few years ago, Riverside Park in North Lake Charles got a major makeover, but now many boaters are saying the dock is incomplete and unsafe. KPLC's Hannah Treece spoke with a representative from the city to get some answers.
We kind of been out here all our lives.
Nathaniel Perry says Riverside Park in North Lake Charles is a hub for all things outdoors.
This has always been one of our favorite fishing spots.
But last summer, a large section of the dock by the boat launch was removed because the pilings holding it up were no longer stable.
So we did have a pier out here at one time, that kind of made, launching your boat a little bit more safer.
Since the dock's removal, a number of safety concerns have come to light. First, old pilings the city says are left over from a railroad track were discovered where the dock used to be, making it hazardous for people to drive their boats over.
When the water dropped so low, they became dangerous to boaters. You knew the boat could hit it, you could harm the boat, possibly even harm a boater.
So last week, the city shut down the ramp and removed the pilings, but Perry says it's still nearly impossible to use the dock.
You don't have anywhere to actually tie off your boat whenever you're launching it. We actually have to launch our boat with with the people that's actually going on the boat ride, or whatever we're going to do fishing. You have to actually launch the boat with them already on there while the boat is on the trailer because you don't have anywhere for them to actually, get off.
It's something Bruce Rigney with the Lake Charles Department of Parks and Rec says the city is aware of, and plans are in the works to make the dock more usable.
We are in discussing plans to add a new dock similar to the old one, maybe a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit smaller, but something that is safe, something that fits into the design of Riverside Park, and something that makes us good steward of the public's money.
But in the meantime, he says the boating ramp and dock are perfectly safe to use.
It's open, it's safe, it's a little tight, but we're working on it.
But Perry has a message for boaters who plan on using the dock before it's been replaced.
Be careful. Be careful. That's the only thing I can say.
At your service, Hannah Treece, KPLC-7 News.
Playgrounds are an integral part of most kids' childhoods. It's a place to develop their cognitive skills, socialize, and just have fun.
But as KPLC's Hannah Treece reports, one Sulphur mom is saying that's not possible for her son because there's no handicap-accessible equipment at the city's parks.
Jungle gyms, slides, and of course swings. Playgrounds are a place for kids to just be kids.
He was littler when I swung him the last time on here.
Mason Crane is no exception.
Let's see. Oh, Mason.
But it's not always easy or even possible for him to enjoy the playgrounds near his house.
He sits here and he can't really play with the other children.
That's because Mason is disabled, and Ashley Crane says there's no handicapped accessible equipment at any Sulphur parks.
He couldn't utilize any of the equipment in this park at all.
While there are special swings in several Lake Charles parks, Ashley says they're not able to make the trek across the bridge every time Mason wants to play, and her mom says she shouldn't have to.
We don't live in Lake Charles. This is our home.
So what's being done to address the issue?
As Sulphur Parks and Recreation, we had started discussing inclusion in the parks back in January.
Angel Burton is the recreation manager for Sulphur. She says she's spoken to Ashley and understands it's an issue that needs to be addressed.
We're not interested in just piecemealing. We really want to do our due diligence to find the appropriate space, the appropriate equipment, and it's going to be more than a swing.
Burton says there's not a timeline in place for their plans yet, but Ashley and her mom say that's okay. They'll keep fighting for the equipment for as long as it takes.
My hope is and expectation is that they'll step up to this because it can only bring good to the community.
And in the meantime, Mason is just along for the ride.
We're going to lead the way for everybody.
At your service, Hannah Treece, KPLC 7 News.